Hello, knockouts. Tonya TKO here. It's bright and early. Listen, welcome in, everybody. I'm really excited about today's show. I just sent out the message to the mailing list, so I'm expecting you all to start coming in momentarily. I hope I put the right link in because I typed it by hand. You know how it is when you're on the computer. All right, so maybe I did do the link correctly because I see people are coming in. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. So, I'm going to let you all start trickling in. I am going to be turning on the phone lines. I'm going to give a shout out to the people from my mailing list who have come over early, right? So get ready to let yourself be shouted out. All right, so this show is going to be broken up into two different parts. We're going to be talking about the difference between a good man and a good match and why men get this confused so often, and I'm hoping that this video will serve as an educational tool for both men and women. I'm going to open up the phone lines and we're going to take it from there. The general topic of the discussion today is going to be the difference between a good man and a good match. And we're going to do some techniques to help you figure out who is a good match for you so that you can kind of get to know yourself and what are some of the criteria that you have that you may not have thought about? What are some of your deal breakers? What are some of the things that makes a person a good match for you, as well as some of the things that don't? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so I'm going to give my opening as I put on a little bit of my eyebrow. Listen, YouTube be hating on a sister. They be hating on a sister. So someone like the peach highlights I don't have on peach. I'm wearing red. All right. So listen, I'm going to give a shout out to the people who got the notification. I want to see who is on my mailing list. If you are on my mailing list, put up the number 1. And I'm going to give the first 10 to 20 people a shout out who are from my mailing list. I want to make sure that this liquid gold does not. Okay. So listen. So first person up, we got Piece of Candy. We got PJ, Teresa, Empress, Dominique. We got Jamaica. We got Daisy Star. We got Tanise. We got Martine. We have HL. We have Shark, Sage, and Janie. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Tonya TKO, and as you know, I am a life coach and a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I help you learn how to love yourselves and one another. On this channel, we use viral topics to jump into and use them as a learning experience, a teachable moment for our own lives, for what for what self-love looks like in our own life. And today's conversation was actually spurred by the videos that we did last week. And last week when we were talking, so no, the week before last when we were talking, let me just get my light together. Hey, wait, where your eyes at? Come on, be good. All right. So last week when we were talking, we talked about women choosing to be choosing to stay single and child free. This is an epidemic that is happening all across the world. There's a population crisis in Japan. There's also now a growing population crisis in what do you call this place, Korea. And part of the thing that's happening is that women are entering the workforce. They're finding purpose and meaning in work. They're not really wanting to get saddled down into relationships that don't really serve them. See, what ends up happening is people promote. So let me ask you all this question. The numbers are going to be 2 and 3, right? Let me ask you this question. Who benefits most from marriage? If you believe women benefit most from marriage, put up the number 2. If you believe men benefit the most from marriage, put up the number 3. I'm not going to tell you what the answer is until you all start voting. So I'm waiting for those votes to come in. So, okay. Listen, listen, nobody has put up a number 2 yet. Listen. Everybody. So this is not a trick question. Everybody knows this already. All right. Well, you know what? Listen. Let's jump into the meat and potatoes of it. Why do you all feel? You know what? Listen, doggone it. I was going to open up the phone lines afterward. Listen, should I open up the phone lines now or should I open them up after? Because I want to get my eyebrows on. Listen, you know what? Let me, okay, I'm going to ask you all. Oh gosh. All right. Listen, you all are asking what I put on my face. I put my vitamin E oil on my face. It's special, plant-based and potent. It's alive, and it's very dear. I sell it once a year in the spring. And those of you who are on my mailing list, you got the notification for it. You bought, and you have, and your skin looks like mine now. So that's good. All right. Okay, so Vivi is saying married men live longer and are happier and healthier than single men, right? So listen, I want you all to put in why you feel that men benefit more from marriage. Jamie says married men even live longer and are healthier. Nothing can top those benefits. Yaya is saying nowadays a woman can make her own money, no need to fear abuse from a man, right? And so someone is saying we die earlier when married. Lot of mercy. Listen, peace of mind. Women tend to do all the emotional heavy lifting. Men get all this moral support and to be the leader. PJ's talking about the vitamin E. Sunrise is saying married men make more money and live longer. All right. Listen. So listen. We don't live in the days where the environment is catastrophic and we need protection from the environment. I cannot find my sponge, but you know what? Let me go on ahead. All right. We cook better round meals. Someone is saying, Anne is saying, I think both. No, when it comes to a comparison, you have to choose one or the other. You can't choose both in a comparison. Men don't get it that marriage protects their also precious seed. They tend to be more careful. Let's see, who said that? Terry. You know what? My knockouts are some of the most intelligent people on the internet. I'll tell you that much, because you all don't play. It is all of the things that you all are saying are true. So let's jump into it. Let's jump into that. And then we're going to get into the difference between a good man and a good match, because your life matters. Your happiness matters. So, meat and potatoes of it. Men benefit the most from marriage because of the things that you all have listed. You all are right on the money. So what ends up happening is men, we talked about this in the Tonya TKO After Dark video. Who it is that we as women, who we think men are, and who men really are very different people. They're very different people. Men, listen, men, they have different standards when they're alone than when they're in a relationship. Their standards for the type of food that they eat, the type of danger that they engage in, how often they go to the doctor. Someone talked about us being mental health support for men, making more money, living longer, all of this stuff, right? So let's dive into some of those things. Yes, men live longer. I cannot find, I don't know where my, you know what I'm gonna do? I am going, what shall I do to blend this in if I don't have my sponge? What shall I do? What shall I do? You know what? I'm gonna use a brush and hopefully the brush will, I don't know if the brush will do it. This is not the right tool for the job. This is not the right tool. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be more gentle because you all get on me when I'm not gentle. Okay. So listen. Men live longer. Men live longer when they're in relationships. They eat healthier food. Women make them stop risking their lives. If it wasn't for women, men participate in higher risk activities. They are not on top of their health. They don't go to the doctor. They don't really bother with their like the upkeep health wise. Like, so there are some men who will go to the gym and stuff like that, but mainly to attract a woman, right? But other than that, they're good. They're good with living in squalor. They're good with eating any type of food. They're good with not going to the doctor. They're good with jumping out of planes, riding fast motorcycles. They're good with spending all their damn money. They're good with somebody talking about hygiene. Listen, that's a whole other story, but speak on it. These are things that are true, right? So men take more risks, and women, what we do is we come into men's lives and men have to change. This is part of the reason that there are a lot of men. This is part of the reason that there are a lot of men who are resistant to being in relationships, because when they're in relationships, they have to be different than they are when they're not. They gotta brush those teeth daily. Listen, if left up to men, listen, let me listen. Listen, listen. Let's do a survey. Let's do a survey of the men on the broadcast. Let's do a survey of the men on the broadcast, right? And I want you all to be honest, because I could tell when you all are not honest. So I want you all to be honest, right? If it wasn't for women, if you didn't want to date, so the numbers are going to be 4 and 5, right? If you would practice the same level of hygiene, listen. If you would practice the same level of hygiene outside of a relationship, if there was no hope of you ever getting into a relationship, right? Would you practice the same level of hygiene, right? If you would, if let's say there's no women around, it's the apocalypse, right? It's the apocalypse. You're not worried about, there's no dating. Should it be the apocalypse in the scenario? Let's just say you're not, if it wasn't for women, let's say some microbe came down and wiped all the women off of the earth. And so if you're gay and you like men, then let's say the microbe wiped all gay men off. Well, you still could try to, convert the convert the heteros, as many of you do. So let's take the gay men out of the story. Let's take the gay men out. So for the gay men, if you were just not interested in dating anymore, I don't know. Let's just take the gay men out of the scenario. But you know what? So many of my viewers are gay. Would you keep the same level of hygiene? If the answer is yes, so gay men are out of the story. Gay men, no answers. Do not answer. This is only for heterosexual men. If some microbe came down and wiped out all women, would you still maintain the same level of hygiene? Put up a 4 if the answer is yes. Put up a 5 if the answer is no. Let's see these numbers. Let's see what they're going to say. They lying. Look, if you would maintain the same level of hygiene, I didn't say you had to stink. I just said the same level of hygiene because one woman's boyfriend in the background is voting. talking about he doesn't like the stink. We're not saying you have to stink. I'm talking about the same level of hygiene, brushing of the teeth, trimming of the beard. You know they're gonna lie right now. They're gonna lie. Not one person put up a 5. They lying. Ladies, listen. Won't you listen, ladies? If you got a male person, a loved one near you, take their vote in the background, because I see the people in these comments are not going to be truthful here today. They're not going to be truthful here today. They're lying. We already know the answer. We already know the answer. We know. We know that if it wasn't for women, some of them wouldn't even brush their teeth. Come on, let's talk about it. They're not trimming their beards, they're not manscaping, and they're not brushing their teeth. You know something? I'm being rude. But it's the truth. Am I lying? Come on now, you all listen. Am I telling the truth? Ladies, we know men. So why are we sitting here listening to the lies? You know what? I'm gonna open up the phone lines and watch when them phone lines open. It'd be a whole bunch of, why? Look at what you all did to me. Look at one eyebrow is down here. On this side, I'm serious. I'm like, hey, on this side, it's a party. Listen, look at what you all have done. Look. Can you smell what the ton is cooking? All right. So now I am in 2 different arenas for the eyebrows. You all have messed me up with your lies. The moment that you all started telling lies, one eyebrow went for the truth and the other one said, this is the story. All right. So listen. Okay. They know what the deal is. They know what the truth is. But you know what? Let's get to the topic of the video. Okay? Let's get into the topic. So, good man versus a good match. Let me ask you all, what do you think is the difference? I never got it back into order. I gotta, hold on. Okay, we did it. I'm not getting no damn microblade on my damn eyebrows. I've seen some of the pros and cons. I've seen some wonderful jobs, but then I also seen some people with some issues happening on their face, and ain't nobody gonna take no needle and ink and try to scrape it into my beautiful skin. That is not going to happen. So you better just get used to my powder. Because I'm fine with the powder. Ain't nobody trying to come in here and stab up their blades inside my damn eyelash or my eyebrow skin. They ain't doing it. Not over here, they not. I'm glad yours came out great. I'll be the one example. I will be the one example that come out looking like... Listen, I am fine with my powder because I don't want eyebrows on every day. You know what the problem with too many of us ladies is? We go and we start doing all these things to alter ourselves because we feel that we need to or have to. Or listen, I know what microblading is. The fact that I haven't done it means I don't want to. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. So no, thank you. So nonetheless, let's talk about the difference between a good man and a good match, right? So one of the things that men get confused with is they're like, well, why doesn't she want me? I'm a good man, right? Why doesn't she want me? I'm a good man. I know I'm putting it on extra thick. That's because I'm going to smoke them out. I'm going to smoke out these eyelids, right? They're like, I'm a good man. Why doesn't she want me? Why am I in the friend zone? What's wrong with her? She only likes bad boys. You know what? Let's touch on that real quick before we jump into the rest of it, right? You know, one of the things that we have to realize is that nobody made it out of childhood without some sort of trauma, without some sort of thing that needs to be healed. Nobody made it out without having to deal with something that needs our attention in adulthood, right? Nobody. And for a lot of our relationships, like they say, or I say, you never really know a person until you see who they're matched with, who they match themselves with. Because there are a lot of people who are, what we do is we act out in relationships some healing that we need from our past. So if we had a mother who was never there, and our mother was our emotional center, if we had a mother who was never there are many of us who will act out in our relationships, attempting to heal that, right? If our father left us, we will get men who are slippery, very, very slippery, and we will attempt to get these men to stay. We will do our best to work on getting these men to stay, getting them to love us, because in our psychology, in our subconscious, and you all know like I said, I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist. In our subconscious, we are like, you know what? This time is going to work. This time I'm going to heal this wound because I'm going to show that I am lovable and that I am good enough to be loved and that I'm worthy, right? And so they find a person to help them act out this part of their life that they really truly need healing on. Because look, we cannot go back to our childhood, but what we can do is we can try, and this is what we do, right? Somebody's asking me a question. Tonya, are you sure? Because, for example, what type of trauma will Beyonce's children experience? They are rich and have a healthy family. You think, first of all, oh, are you trolling? Oh, that's somebody else who says I'm trolling. Or they say I'm rolling. No, I'm trolling. Listen, if you think that Beyonce's children won't have any trauma, then you don't really know how life is set up. Your parents being rich is not going to stop you from having trauma, right? We know that Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce, had several relationships outside of the marriage. We know that the mother is a superstar. First of all, Blue, people have started comparing Blue to Beyonce's level of beauty from the time that Blue came out the womb. And then I found my sponge. My sponge is here now. It was underneath a whole bunch of other stuff, right? A lot of us hope for. All right, so for the lips, should we go red or burgundy? What are you all thinking? I'm going to do a survey. Red or burgundy? Only vote once, right? Should we do red or maroon? One of those, red or maroon, right? So I'm seeing red, red, red. All right, first two are red. All right, so everybody's saying red. Okay. One person said maroon, two for maroon, three for maroon, but most of them are red. Most of the things are red. So we're going to go for red, right? Nobody makes it out of childhood without some type of trauma. And there's nothing wrong with trauma. Listen, as human beings, as human beings, we came into this life to work on things that will help the advancement of our soul. It's as simple as that. Right? We come into this life to help the advancement of our soul, and there are things that will come in even if our parents don't perceive it as a thing. There are things that our soul will call out for. Our soul will call out for interpreting a thing in such a way, right? Here we go. Let's see. Listen, I'm going to give you one opportunity. You're going into timeout right now, but if you come back with your nonsense, I'm just going to block you from the channel. We're all grown here. My average viewer is 35. So I don't have the capacity I choose not to invest the patience in people who are coming to my channel without their big boy pants on. All right? So let's be adults here. All right? Okay. So let's talk about it. It's too late. I already went with the red. It's too late. I already went with the red. Okay? So everybody, no one escapes from childhood without some type of trauma, because we will interpret certain situations in a way that digs deep into what's happening with us on a soul level, the stuff that we didn't figure out in a past life that we came into this life for, because for the ascension of our soul, for the growth of our soul, there are things that we need to do, right? There are things that we need to come into contact with that will affect us so deeply that we will be like, you know what, I need to heal this in this lifetime. For some people, they need to learn trust. For some people, they need to learn forgiveness. For some people, they need to learn self actualization. There are a lot of different things that we need to do as human beings when we come into this life, right? So, let's say, and listen, and I hope that parents will forgive themselves, because there's only but so much that you can do, right? There's only but so much that you can do, because at the end of the day, your children have a path that's different than your own. You may assist your children in getting here, but them coming here is a lot larger than you. You are not the owner of your child. You did not make your child's soul. A woman, a keeper of the womb, may house an infant in her body and help that infant cross over into this lifetime, right? Into this particular life. But you did not create that human soul. And so someone is saying my mother told me I was weak. I mean, listen, no, none of our parents are perfect, and they're doing the best that they can in the ways that they know how. Um, Listen, let's jump into the voice calls, and then we'll discuss some of the things going on. I want the first caller to call in and tell me, right? What do you think is the difference between a good man and a good match? And then I'll tell you what I believe, and then we'll go from there. And VB is saying some parents are the cause of trauma. I believe we choose our parents before we come into this life. I believe listen, my mother died when I was 19, and I believe that, all right. Phone lines are open, and if you are a platinum member, you have a special phone number. You have a special phone number to be able to text, and you will be able to, and I'll call you back so that you don't have to wait in the line. All right, you're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Hi, Tonya. My name is Yaya.
Hey, Yaya, are you one of the ones who voted earlier that you came in through the mailing list? Is that you?
I didn't come from the mailing list, but I have been pretty active in the chat.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. So what is your comment?
So I just want to say I love the show.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me. I believe that a good match is somebody who is kind of like they fit
Mm-hmm.
your vibe. So
Yes.
maybe they're fun. Maybe the sex is good. Maybe they look really good. They're handsome. They have energy.
Yes.
And they're kind of like that person that pairs with maybe some of your
Mm-hmm.
trauma. Maybe it's like a
Yes.
trauma bond type of a thing.
Yes.
Where I see like a good man on the other side, he's not necessarily gonna light your fire. Maybe he might be not your type physically. He might be kind of boring, but he's gonna support you. He's gonna love you. He's going to listen to you, and he's somebody that could be more trustworthy in a sense.
Yes. You know what? Give me 1 second. I need to get some tissue. I need to blow my nose. Give me 1 second, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. I decided to blow my nose off camera. All right, I'm back. I'm back. So go ahead. So you were saying a good man now is someone that may not light your fire, and you were saying.
Right. I mean, that's pretty much it. But I think, in my opinion, the good man is kind of elusive in societies and like this new age like dating system.
Okay, tell me
You
more.
have so many options. like for example, I'm 26. I'm in the dating scene because of COVID. Everything is online, so I've got hundreds of people every day that I can scroll through, that I can look at, that I can pick apart physically, that I can, say, oh no, he's not tall enough. Oh no, he doesn't look good enough. Oh no, his job isn't good enough. But a good man, I don't think necessarily falls under those options, if that makes sense.
No,
Like
I don't
you
know what you
can't
mean.
scroll through a phone and be able to determine who a good man may or may not be.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I see that. I can see that. All right. Well, you know what? Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. All right. So which would you rather have, a good man or a good
Mm.
match?
Ooh, well, I've had the good match. um, it didn't work out that well, and I will say, like, just being 100% honest, like, why can't I have like both? Like, why can't I have a little bit of both in one person? I don't know. I am entertaining men that I wouldn't necessarily go after, who wouldn't be that great of a match for me. But it is kind of hard to see myself kind of as somebody who doesn't really light a fire, but then I'm still learning and growing, and dating is something that you kind of stumble into. I didn't get a lot of information on how to go about this the right way, but one big thing that I'm learning is like you have to build a foundation. Like you're not just gonna fall head over heels for somebody. And I think that's kind of where the good match comes into. The good match is like, oh, you're going headstrong for them. They're hot, they're sexy, they're fun, everything's on fire, but then that fire burns out and then there's no foundation with which the relationship can be supported on.
And you said that's
Where
where
on the other side,
and you said that
I'm sorry?
you said the burning out will happen with the person who's a good match versus the one who is a good
Right.
man. Okay, go forward. Keep going.
Right, right. And then on the other side, the good man, there might not be that fire. There might not be that initial blaze, but maybe with the good man, you can gather some tinder, you can put it together with some logs, you can light a match, and you can kind of build that. So when the fire goes out, there's still that foundation to relight the fire, rekindle, or maybe, shake things up in a different way, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
so then talk to us. What is a good man then? You said what a good man is not, but what is a good man?
Mm-hmm. Um, in my opinion,
Yes.
a good man is somebody who is financially stable, somebody who is understanding, non-emotional, who has dealt with their trauma. I'll actually put dealt with their trauma on the number one spot. Dealt with their trauma, um, financially stable, somebody who's understanding. And I think because humans kind of run the gamut of personal characteristics. Of course, you can throw in all of the spices in the sauce with that. But personally, for me, I think somebody who understands who they are, somebody who is understanding and loving and kind, is a good man.
Okay. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for your opinion. We appreciate that. So thank you. What did you say your name was?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too, Tonya.
Okay. So the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. I want to hear from you. And we're doing 5-minute phone calls today so that we can be able to get through more callers, or at least we're doing 5-minute phone calls on this question. And then we may extend it if we need to dive deeper into the subject. Because I am going to give you my teaching on the difference between a good man and a good match. And then we'll continue to have the phone lines open. So the phone lines are open, 323-488-3149. I see a lot of people who are commenting about what they feel is the difference between a good man and a good match. So I want to hear you. You can call in. Listen, I need you to make sure that your speakers are down and that you're ready to come live on the air. We have 278 people in the building, 74 thumbs up. Go ahead and thumbs up the video. That matters for the YouTube algorithm. And if you have not already, be sure to get my book of affirmation self-love off of Amazon. This book helps rewrite your subconscious programming. I was living in my car having a very hard time, and things just kept getting worse and worse. It was one thing after another, like dominoes. And you know how life is. Life gives you more of the same, and you have to create a complete pivot. And sometimes that's really difficult to do, especially, Einstein says the mind that created the problem cannot be the same mind that gets you out of the problem. So you have to shift your mind, you have to shift your brainwaves, and this book helps you do it. There are beautiful illustrations and areas for you to write. All you have to do is just rewrite the affirmation. It's very easy to do. And it's available right now on Amazon. The book is $20, and they're doing 1-day shipping depending on where you are. All right. So this book is called The Book of Affirmation Self-Love. And you have it's wide open. Just search for Tonya TKO on Amazon and Self-Love, and it's right there. The links are also in the description, as well as when you go to my website, right? Okay, you are on the air. What's your name?
Hi, this is Linda.
Hi, Linda. So talk to us. What's your definition? What do you think is the difference between a good man and a good match?
Okay, so I'm going to get to that. I just definitely want to say beforehand that I recently just got your book. It was delivered a couple of days ago, the Book of Affirmations, and I am starting to go through it, and I'm just so thankful and glad that you put this out there, because it's actually my first time kind of taking possession of my own happiness and really just working on myself. So this is like step one for me. So I'm really, really glad that you put that book out there. It's beautiful, and I will be writing in it.
You haven't written in the book yet?
No, I have. I actually started. No, I started page 1.
Okay, good. And so what changes have you noticed so far since you've been doing the book?
Just having a more positive mindset in general, because lately I was just getting so wrapped up in my negativity, and especially with I've been single for a while and just been dating, and just the caliber of people I've been meeting, I think has really kind of affected my psyche, and I just needed a reset.
Okay.
And I think this is really helping me to kind of start from a place of positivity and just disregarding what I've experienced in the past in general.
Okay.
And so I'm just at the beginning of my transformation, so I'm kind of a baby, but
okay.
I think this is going to be a good first step.
Well, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. Absolutely. The book is an amazing book. Those are the most powerful affirmations that I said when I was at the lowest point in my life. And when I started doing those affirmations, it was really kind of like magic. Things just really started to shift. And I am grateful to those affirmations. I'm grateful to Spirit that came through me and assisted me in getting that book out into the world. So I'm happy that you got it. That's the reason why I wrote the book, is so that people could be able to do these things at home and on their own and be able to find healing in their time and in their way. So thank you for that feedback. All right, Linda, so let's jump into the topic at hand. Good man, good match. What's the difference?
Okay, so I think I actually struggle with this. I just hopped onto this live not so long ago, so hopefully I didn't miss too much, but I struggle to see how a good match can't be a good man. But the more that I think about it, I think maybe a good man can be someone who is on paper what society deems to be the ideal man. But a good match is someone who is the ideal person for you, specifically based off of your values and your needs.
Yes, absolutely. So, which would you rather have, a good man or a good match?
I would rather have a good match now that I think about it. And the reason being is there are a lot of men out there who people will tell me, this is a good man. This is a good man. You should, be with this guy. He's a good man. But they don't understand why I'm not with that man. And it's because he's not a good match for me.
Gotcha.
So, for instance, what I desire in life is someone who, my good match would be someone who is, emotionally stable, financially stable, provides for family, is willing and ready to commit, appreciates women and their femininity and what they bring to the table in regards to that. Whereas a good man, for some other people, would be has a job, right? So not necessarily a career, but like they're just employed. So, hey, doesn't that check it off for you? He has a job, so yay, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or doesn't have any kids. That might check the box for people, and they will say, that's a good man. He's single. He doesn't have any kids. And he has a job.
Mm-hmm.
But then maybe there are other aspects of his personality, like maybe he's not really a generous person. So then he won't be generous to you. He won't be generous to your future children. But on paper, he's a good man in all other regards.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he maybe doesn't have that generosity that you desire.
Gotcha.
And so therefore he's not a good match for me.
Got you. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for giving your point of view. We're going to let the phone lines open back up for someone else to call in. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, phone lines are open. I want to hear from a male person, a person who was born male and identifies as male to this day. I want to hear from you on what you feel is the difference between a good man and a good match, because I think that for a lot of men, there are a lot of men who are confused about this. And so I definitely want to hear from a male person, and I want to hear your point of view. I'm going to take 2 more phone calls, and then I'm going to give my point of view on what is the difference between a good man and a good match, and talk about the preference thereof, right? So phone lines are open, 323-488-3149. 323-488-3149. I want to hear from you and your point of view. Good man versus good match. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Hi, Tonya. 2338.
Hey, I thought you said you were at work. Wait a minute now.
I am. I can sneak off.
Ain't you working security? How are you going to secure the place if you up on the phone? You know what I'm saying?
I'm securing these phone lines. I should take a 15 minutes.
Wow. All right. Listen, we hear you, but don't call in next month talk about, oh man, guess what happened? They caught me on the cameras.
No.
All right.
That's funny.
So welcome. So what is your opinion? Good man versus good match. What's the difference to you?
Yeah, I can relate to the other caller that I think just got off the line. That the statement is kind of tricky because they almost sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, a good man can be a good man on paper, and or all those qualities. But a good match is more personalized to you, because we as women, we generally want certain things, but we also have individual needs,
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like a good man, a lot of men, like in the book that I shared with you, that I emailed you, there can be a lot of good men that are at the stage of manhood, but they're not ready for husbandhood. They're not ready for fatherhood. So they might be a man's man, and have a career, nice car, just all those things that qualifies a man to be a man.
Yes.
Live on his own and good credit and all that. But then when it comes to adding on to his life with a wife, with being a father, I mean, you see a totally different animal.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, you might see someone who's completely self-absorbed, selfish, a deadbeat dad, just all kinds of things. But as an individual, in the eyes of society, he has it going on. It's like, he's amazing. You'd be like, oh my God.
But wait,
But
let me challenge you on that,
Mhm.
though. Let me challenge you on that. So
Okay.
is a person who is good in front of other people, but behind the scenes, he's a deadbeat dad, does that make him a good man?
Very true. Very true. No. Well, I guess what I'm saying, even if he, very true. So I'd like to backpedal. I guess what I'm saying is like, you know, it takes a man to want to expand himself and grow, to want to be in a relationship or want to have children and things like that. And that's when you can see, once, like she said, if he's generous, you know, so it kind of goes further than just him as an individual, you know.
Okay.
So I think, you know, it's good to be a good man, but once a man starts thinking about expanding his legacy beyond just himself, then, you know, to whatever particular woman that he's looking at, then that's when that woman can find out if that man is a good match for her and for her needs and for her, you know, desires.
Got you. So in your opinion, what is a good man?
Well, just a good man by himself. I mean, a man who's ambitious, a man who is a leader, a man who knows what he wants, knows how to get what he wants, a man that is working on himself, a man that knows how to, you know, control his finances, a man that can, you know, manage his emotions, and a man that has direction in his life, a man that knows where he's going, what his purpose is for being here. I think those are qualities of a good man.
Okay, all right. And what are some must-haves for you that would make a man a good match?
Okay. Well, number one, like I said, to know where he's going, but also to know that he's not looking at me as his business partner. He's not looking at me as his roommate. He's not looking at me as his equal in the sense of I'm not his buddy. He knows that he's the head of the house.
Okay.
So with that being said, he knows that he's not looking to me to go half. Okay. He's not looking to me, you know, asking me, so what do you do? That's one of my pet peeves. And it's not just to create conversation. It's literally, you know, ooh, what do you do? Ooh, you have a good job. Ooh, you're a strong woman. Those are, it sounds like a compliment, but it's really, you know, he's not looking to me to raise him. Okay. He's not impressed with my resume. My resume is my resume. It's not for you to be impressed.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't care as long as I have $1 or $100,000. That's none of your business. You still know that you are a leader and your job is to cover and take care of your wife and children.
Okay.
My money is irrelevant.
Okay.
So that's,
well, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate you calling in and giving your point of view. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me sleep away.
All right, then have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. All right. So can some of you in the audience pressure a male person to call in? I want to hear from a man. Okay, you're on the air live. What's your name?
Hi, my name's Lamont.
Hey, Lamont, welcome in. So thank you for calling. I've been wanting to speak with a man. What do you think is the difference between a good man and a good match?
First, I'd like to say thank you for hosting it. And I'd like to give a little bit of a story of like what my sister went through with somebody who wasn't a good match, if that's okay.
Well, you know what? We have 5 minutes for the phone call. So
okay.
If you can tell your story quickly and still get your point of view, then go for it.
All right. So in a nutshell, my sister, she dated a lawyer a few years back who was a philanthropist. He earned, 6 figures. He was charitable. But behind the scenes, he was toxic to her. He was always critical and putting her down emotionally. And so to the world, he was a good man in the sense that he was so charitable and he took care of business. But behind the scenes, for my sister, he was toxic and damaging for her. So I think that the definition of someone who's good for you is somebody who is going to, you are better because you are with them.
Hold
They
on,
turn
hold on,
that
hold on,
potential.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. The
Okay.
question is the difference between a good man and a good match. So the person that your sister was with may have appeared to be a good man, but was he a good man?
He wasn't a good man to her. He was a good man to the world,
Hold
but he
on,
wasn't a good
hold on,
man to
hold
her.
on. Right.
Okay.
But was he a good man? Without the qualifiers, was he a good man? Yes or no?
I would say yes,
Okay.
without the qualifiers. Without the qualifiers, yes, he was a good man. And was he a good man for her? No. Was he a good match for her? No. And a good match for her would have been somebody who made her better, who encouraged her, who saw her potential and turned that potential into possibility.
Okay. All right. So part of the reason that I stopped you to steer the conversation was because you started answering what is a person who is good for you. And the question isn't who is good for you. The question is the difference between a good man and a good match. So what is your definition of a good man?
I think a good man is a provider. A good man is someone who's a provider for his community, a provider for his family, um, uh, just someone who has something to offer. And it doesn't have to just be financially. It could be being a big brother to the kids that don't have a father in the family, being a teacher or a coach. A good man is someone who brings something to the table for the community, for his family. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll say this, Lamont, because I want to challenge you that a person who is toxic and putting people down and is abusive, that's not a good man, regardless of what he looks like in the public. If behind the scenes he's abusive, that disqualifies him from being a good man. Abusive people are not good people. Well, they could,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? That's my statement.
Yeah. No, I
Abusive
understand.
people need to work on their on being not being abusive, you know?
I say that he's a good man because of what he does for the community. If I'm looking at it from outside of a relationship, a personal close relationship with him, it's the age old question of like, is a person who does good on the outside but is evil on the inside, is that a good person? Or is the person who does evil on the outside but is good on the inside, is that a good person? What makes a good person? Um, and that's a hard question to answer, I think.
Okay.
So my sister being in a relationship with him, he wasn't a good match for her.
Who do
She
you
needs
think
somebody
who do you
who,
think he would be a good match for, considering he's abusive? Who would he be a good match for?
I think, that he needs therapy. But if he's going to be in a relationship with somebody, it needs to be somebody that he feels is better than him. He feels that he can't he can't look down on them. You know, I don't know like what type of profession. Maybe another lawyer, maybe like a woman who owned her firm. Like he can't, and that's probably why he chooses mates who are not professionally on his level, because he knows that a woman who is on his level or above his level, she's not gonna tolerate any of that.
Yeah. So you know what? That begs the question then. That begs the question. Because being a good person and being a good man can be two different things, right? And I would love to explore that thought, because I caught myself when I was saying he's not a good person. But is a person a good person if he's not treating someone right, if he's being abusive? Um, do you think that he was abusive to your sister because he truly looked down on her? Or do you think he was abusive because he's just an abusive person?
I think it could be a combination of both, but I think mostly it was because he looked down on her. She at the time she was a student. She wasn't like she didn't have a career yet. Um, so, and I also got the sense from him that he was a bit of a narcissist, a bit like yeah, just narcissistic. So everything had to be perfect on the outside. Everything had to look good. And a lot of people benefited, on the outside from that. A lot of charities benefit from that. But being in a close personal relationship with them, you start to see beneath the facade, and you start seeing a crack.
Okay. All right. You know, I've taken some time to briefly think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can a person be a good man if they are a bad person? Can an abusive person be a good man? Can an abusive person be a good person? And I would have to say no. I think that
Mm-hmm.
at the very base of the pyramid, the largest part is, are you a good person? And then when we start going up the pyramid, we start saying, are you a good man? And then from
Mm-hmm.
there, we go, are you a good match for this person? And then as the relationship goes on, are you evolving into continuing to be a good match? So at the very base level, if you are giving to charity and you're a pillar in a community and you're coaching all of these teams, but you're coming back home and you are making the personal choice to be toxic, that alleviates
Mm-hmm.
you of the title of being a good person. That's the larger part right
Mm-hmm.
there, because we are people before we are our gender. And how are we showing up in the world as a person before we start showing up in the world with the things that are ascribed to us and our gender? And I would say that a person who is abusive is not even a good person,
Mm-hmm.
despite going up the pyramid and saying, okay, now are you a good man? Are you a good match? Right? Because it's like a funnel. And if you can't get through the good person funnel, then you don't trickle down to the good man funnel. It's as simple as that. And that guy,
Mm-hmm.
he may have had the external characteristics of what society deems to be a good man, but at the end of the day, he wasn't even a good person. So we've gone over our time. So thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you, and I'm going to give my point of view right now. Thank you.
Thank you for picking up, and I enjoy your show.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
you.
Thank you. I'm happy that you're a subscriber and a viewer. Are you on my mailing list?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Have a great day. Okay, so I'm going to give my answer. The phone lines are closed temporarily while I give my answer. So hold off on the phone calls until after I give my answer. And I gave a little bit of it away when we were talking to Lamont. So let's answer the question. What is the difference between a good man and a good match? At the very base of the pyramid, so just imagine a pyramid, or you can imagine a funnel, depending on however you want to imagine it, but there's the larger base. The larger base is, are you a good person? Do you show up in the world treating other people as you would like to be treated, being fair to other people, respecting your environment, just being a good person regardless of genitalia? So that's the base right there, or the top of the funnel. And then we trickle down from there and we go into things that are gender specific. So it starts out with being a good man, a good person, excuse me. It starts out with being a good person. And then from there, as we go up the pyramid and we start talking about things that are gender specific, are you a good man? What are the things that makes a man a good man? There are characteristics that you have from being a good person that travel up through whether or not you are a good man. And when we start talking about whether or not a man is a good man for women or a good date or husband material and all of those other things, we start looking at whether or not he's a good person. Does he treat people fairly? Is he kind? Is he respectful? Does he work? Does he know how to save money? Is he a good person? And does he have the characteristics of being a good male person, right? A good human being who happens to be male. Then we start, then the pyramid gets a little bit more narrow and we start talking about, is this person a good match? And that's when we start getting into whether or not a person is a good fit for another person. This becomes a little more narrow and more specific to the other human being. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this good match off of the top of this pyramid and I'm going to place it down by itself, because whether a person is a good match really doesn't denote whether or not they're a good person, because a person who is going to be a good match for you really depends on where it is that you are in your life. We started off this broadcast talking about where a person is in their life. What is it that they are doing? How are they showing up? The trauma that they may have. So what ends up happening is we go out there into the world and we start meeting different people, right? We were abandoned by our father. We grew up in a house where the lights were turned off. We grow up and we have all of these traumas, and we go out there with our antennas raised. Our antennas are really kind of seeking out for people who are going to assist us in our next iteration of life and our journey and healing, right? And we end up using our romantic relationships as an area that we attempt to heal some of the things that happened in childhood, either to perpetuate or to shift. So there's some of us who were raised poor and whose lights would be turned off and stuff like that. And they say, you know what? I am only going to date people with money, because I don't want my lights turned off. I don't want this to happen. I don't want that to happen. So we end up turning around and only dating a specific type of person because our trauma is guiding us towards different type of people. But you see, the thing is that the trauma was never healed. So when you go out there into the world and you're like, I don't want my lights turned off. I don't want to be in a house with no heat. I don't want this. And you say, okay, I'm going to date this person with money because I don't want this. What ends up happening is vibrationally, you vibrate at lights turned off, money being not there, this, that, and the other. So you end up with that angst on the inside. And you attract a person whose trauma is a complement to yours. And so this person may be like, how might this person be? This person might be like, I have a lot of money, but money isn't everything. I want to be loved for who it is that I am on the inside. I want to feel purposeful in my passion. I want to find myself. I don't want to be trapped by money. So though this person has a lot of money, your trauma has attracted a person who they themselves don't really want to hold on to money. Right? And money is energy. And if you don't want to hold on to your money, that money will hop away. And when you go into a situation, this is why I talk about this in the book of Affirmation Self-Love, because in this book, I help you rewrite your subconscious programming to be able to attract that abundance. Because how a lot of us go out there into the world, because there were some callers that called in. And if you listen, I asked them, what is a good man? And they started answering what a good man is not. When you go out there into the world and you start looking for a person based on what a person is not, you are vibrating at that frequency and you end up attracting the very thing that you claim that you don't want, because your vibration had a shell on the outside that said one thing, but it was reverberating on the inside at a different frequency. So that person who's like, I don't want lights turned off, I don't want this, they attract a person who has money, who they themselves are rejecting money. And then what ends up happening? The lights end up turned off. The heat ends up turned off. This person is now trying to find himself. And now you're in the very situation that you claimed that you did not want, but your energy said that you needed to be in so that you could heal that's going on. This goes for abuse as well. The person who called in, who said that the man who came into his sister's life was not a good match, I would challenge anybody out there. Every relationship that we are in is an energetic match for where we are and that point. If they weren't an energetic match, you would repel. You would see this person and you would pick up on the early warning signs of potential problems and you would just be repelled from it. You would not see your truth in that person. You would not see your reflection in that person. There's some people that come up to you and they say certain things to you. It does not sound like truth. It just does not compute. You don't see yourself in it and you turn away. But then there are other people, and just like a bunny rabbit, no matter how painful the relationship is, no matter how painful the union is, you're just like a bunny rabbit. You keep hopping. You keep hopping back to them. And you keep entering into this situation because this relationship reminds you of something that happened in the past, something that needs healing. And you hop back into this toxic situation, back into this dysfunctional situation, because there's something specific about this person that your energy is saying, listen, I need to be healed from this. I need healing from this, and it has not been addressed. But in this situation, I feel like I have a chance to heal this. This person is something that I claim that I don't like, but I keep hopping back into this relationship. Why? Because even though there's a part of you that repelled the truth of this, energetically you are attracted to the reality of it. And so where it is that you are, you will find people who are an energetic match for what it is that, and where it is and how it is that you are vibrating out there. So let's dial it back. So that is the one thing. While you are still in your state of healing, you will find people who are a good match for where it is that you are. As you change and grow and shift, like the people who do this book, the book of affirmation, self-love, right? You will be a different person after finishing this book than you were before it. And when people do this book, your circle changes. The people who you used to hang out with, they just begin to, like dried up fruit off of a limb. They begin to fall off and fall away from you because your energy is different. They're like, oh, you changed something. Or they just don't vibe. They start talking and they start saying some stuff and it just doesn't resonate with you. And you're like, you start calling them less and less. You start putting your attention towards other people who are a better match. And so as you heal, the relationships around you heal. So now let's take this good match. Let's say you've gone through your healing, you've done your inner work. We're still incarnate. So there's only but so much healing we will do while we are in human form. There's always going to be more healing that we can do. But let's say you do the work, you get to know yourself, you know what you like, you know what type of lifestyle you want to live. That's when we take this and we put it back onto the pyramid. Good person, good man, good match. A person, in order to be a good man, they have to be a good person. And in order to be a good match, so ideally, if you are healthy, if you are in a state where you have done the work and you have healed those traumatic traumas from the past, right? You will want a good person. But a good match is not always a good person depending on where it is that you are. But let's say you've done the work and you yourself have done the things that you need to do to be a good person, to be a good woman. And then now you're like, I'm looking for a good match. That's when you start getting into the values that you have, the goals, the type of life you want to live, how you like to save money, whether or not you want to have children, what type of children you want to have, how you want those children to be raised. What religion are you? What lifestyle do you want to live? Where do you want to live? Do you want to live in the suburbs or the city? Do you want to live in the mountains or by a lake? Do you want to live in an apartment, a house, a condo, a co-op? Are you a meat eater? What type of exercise habits do you have? When we start talking about whether or not a person is a good match for you, it starts to narrow down, because a person can be a good person, they can be a good man, but they may not be a good match. A person could be, I will use myself as an example, even though I don't like to talk about myself personally when it comes to relationships, because we are all different. And I just want to give this as an example. It doesn't matter how entrepreneurial a man is. It doesn't matter how hypergamous he is, how much money he has, how vegetarian he is. It doesn't matter all of those things. It doesn't matter how all of those things he is. If he is religious, he's not a good match for me. There are other women out there who'll be like, oh, this is what I need. Hallelujah. Or alhamdulillah. They will say those things and they'll be like, I found this one. It doesn't matter. And is there anything wrong with this person? There is nothing wrong with a person who is religious. But are they a good match for me? And I'm not interested in going to anyone's church, anyone's mosque, masjid, or temple. I'm not interested in any of those things. For what it is that I know to be truth, I need a different thing in my life. But that doesn't mean that this person is not an amazing person. And I think a lot of men get confused because a lot of men are like, I'm a good man. I'm a good person. Why doesn't she want me? Now, remember when we put this thing over here, every woman may not be in a space in her life, mind, psyche where she is ready for a good man. All she needs is a good match for where it is that she is on her journey of healing. So her good match may not even be a good person. So there are two different things. You may be a good match. You may not be a good person. You may be a good man, but at the stage that she's at, you may not be a good match for her. There's some more internal work that she needs to do, right? So there are a lot of men out there who are like, listen, are you a morning person or a night person? I am an extreme morning person. I once dated this guy, like when I was at TKO Skin, I dated this guy. The guy was amazing. He was an entrepreneur, or he is an entrepreneur still. He's an entrepreneur. He has all of this money. He was kind. He came from a Caribbean background, Caribbean family. He was marriage-minded. You know, he had friends who were married. Man was amazing, right? And then we decided to spend the weekend together, right? We decided to spend the weekend together. And I didn't realize that when I was at TKO Skin working late and he would bring me food and hang out and we had all of this wonderful time. We spent the weekend together. And when the morning time came, I'll never forget it, because I was like, I didn't know if he needed to go to the hospital or something. I'd never seen him like this. He was sitting there. I'll show you how he was sitting. I'll show you. He was sitting there on the bed like this. I can't with my face. Okay, I will try again. He was there like this. And I was talking to him and he was despondent. And I was like, who is this human being? And he was sitting there and he was just like, and I was talking to him and he was like, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, come on, let's go out to brunch. Let's go do this. I'm like, yay. And he's like, he's not responding to me. He's not talking. He's sitting there. He can't move because he got back pains. because apparently in the morning when it's cold, the man's back is hurting and he has some discs that were fused together. I found out from seeing him there, his discs were fused together and he was sitting there and he was in a state. And I was like, I thought to myself, could I, for the rest of my life, never be able to get up and go to brunch and do the crossword I don't do crosswords, but read the paper together and drink cocoa and go out for our morning walk and get that fresh cool air first thing in the morning and all of those things. And I thought, was I willing to sacrifice that? So was this person a good man? Amazing man he was. But was he a good match? Was I willing to, how important are the mornings to me? How important is it connecting with a mate whose internal clock gets up in the morning rather than thrives and peaks at night? Because I'm not a night owl, and we would be like he was not old. He was young. He was young. But he had that fused back, People out here, they want to be reckless when they're young, riding motorcycles and then fly off. And then the next thing you know, you hemmed up. You sitting on someone's bed with your fused spine, sitting there like, and I'm like, so nonetheless, right? So nonetheless, he was an amazing man, great man, and I wish him the best. I was not willing to give up on a lifetime of mornings, going out and taking on the day and getting that morning sunshine and all of that stuff. I wasn't willing to give that up. And it was difficult for him to when I was, because there was nothing wrong with the relationship. There was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong. And I could have been married to this day, and I would have been married to a person. I would have been married to a person with a fused spine who couldn't wake up early in the morning, couldn't function until it was warm, until they were warmed up and all of that. And I just it wasn't a good fit for the type of life I wanted to live. How you traveling and all of that other stuff. And so Yaya is asking, at what point do we reconcile what is a deal breaker? And I think that we need to concentrate on 80-20. If a person has 80% of what you want, 20% of what you don't want, you have a good match right there. Unless there are certain things that are deal breakers. There are some things for me that are deal breakers. Even though I'm a vegetarian, a man eating meat is not a deal breaker for me. Just as long as, listen, most men don't really cook at a capacity that, that I would have to be worried, about that. Because I'm the person who cooks. And when, listen, in relationship, because I cook, the men that I date end up eating. This is what you remember when we started talking about the men who benefit from being in relationships with women. Because I'm a vegetarian and I cook in the relationship, they end up eating vegetarian. Then their lives start looking a lot better, feeling a lot better. They listen. When relationships with me end and they start feeling the weight of that meat in their colon, and they don't have those twinkle toes like they did before, they come a calling. They come a calling. Listen. I'm laughing at twinkle toes because there's a difference. You can feel the difference in your body when you eat processed foods and when you eat live, fresh fruits. And then also I be juicing and making all types of delicious drinks and all types of, and I can cook so well. It's like a culinary, it's like listen, I cook so amazingly that the food is just, it's so delicious and it's so nutritious and it's so filled with love that by even just taking a bite, like when I had TKO Skin, I would cook for you all. Who is here from the TKO Skin days where you got a chance to taste some of my cooking? If you're here from the TKO Skin days, put up the number. We did 4. Put up the number 6 if you're here from the TKO Skin days and you had Tonya cook for you. Put up a 6 if you've had me cook for you. All right. I want to see who is here from way back in those days, right? So I brew my own kombucha, I brew ginger beer, and I brew apple cider. And it is, and because I'm such a loving person, it translates into the food. So they're asking what type of food does Tonya cook? Just go to my Instagram page. You see all of the beautiful, lovely dishes. Kickboxing days. Okay, when was I kickboxing? All right. So this is what I'm saying. Even though I'm vegetarian, a man eating meat is not a deal breaker for me because I cook so well. I cook better than the restaurants. If he wants to go out and he wants to eat his meat or whatever outside or do whatever, it's like my cooking is so far superior that he ends up really altering his diet anyway, right? So that's not a deal breaker for me, unless it's pork, and then that's a little bit gross for me, but we can have conversations about that, right? But nonetheless, right? Oh, wow. Somebody sent me Roses Days. Give a shout out to Gypsy, because somebody sent me Roses Days was 2007. That is a long time ago. That was the hello. Somebody sent me roses today. Those are the good old days. Those are the good old days. But yes. So you as a human being, you have to figure out what type of life you want to live, how you want to live. In what way you want to live, what's going to help you thrive as a human being, and what are the things that you absolutely cannot have in your life. Me, a deal breaker of mine, I don't get into abusive arguments with name calling and that type of stuff. I don't do it. I don't do it. I let my absence speak volumes. I don't participate in it because I do not see my reflection in that. My girlfriends don't even call me a bitch. You know how they like, bitch, please. My girlfriends don't call me that. The people who love me and care about me behind the scenes don't call me that. When you all write those comments in the comments, they're deleted. I don't allow people. That's not my thing, right? So I think each person, right? You have to figure out in what realm you thrive. What are the deal breakers for you? What can you compromise on and what can you not compromise on? And you have to figure that out for yourself. So it doesn't matter how good and great and amazing man a person is. If they're not right for the type of life that you want to live, if they have, listen, there are so many things that it takes for people to be truly compatible. We're talking about their conversation style, their argument and disagreement style, their saving style, their parenting style, how they keep a household style. There's spending style, retirement plan style, child disciplining style. I'm not into corporal punishment. I'm not going to be sitting up there in a house with children being beat down when they can be spoken to, right? We in my family, we are living testaments for how a child can be raised with the I'm saying the fractional bare minimum of violence-based punishment. Will there be a time where you have to cross over into perhaps, spanking a child or whatnot? It depends on the child, and it depends on how well you parent outside of that need for violence against children. So are you going to be a good match for a person who's like, yes, my children must be whipped, and you got somebody over there smacking your children all up in the face, And then also, there's some people out there who punch their children. There's some people out there who use profanity at their children. I have a friend, I saw this on Facebook. They asked, did your mother call you bitch and hoe? And a lot of the women were like, no, that's awful. That's this, that's that. But I had a friend in high school whose mother called her all types of bitchs, all type of hoes, and all of this. And when I heard this, I was like, your mother, the person who carried you in her body and pushed you out into the world, speaks to you like that? And when I heard it myself, I felt diminished. I felt disgusted. I was repulsed by it. So you can imagine. And then that same girlfriend I had, she ended up marrying, she was a wonderful woman, but she ended up marrying a man who was an ex-convict, right? I don't know what exists inside of their relationship to this day. I don't know if he uses that type of language, but that's what she was raised on. And the crazy part about it is it didn't seem like it really fazed her, because when I heard her mother saying it, because we were 15, we were young. I was a sophomore in high school, and I went to her house, and her mother was like, and when I heard, I didn't know who she was talking to. And when I realized she was talking about my friend, I was like, oh. But the thing is, she was just like, the way, because I didn't know she was talking to my friend, because my friend was just like, just carrying on like normal. Like if one of my parents said that to me, I would be like, what is going on? What alien is coming down from the sky and invading our house? But she was just like, just going to get the food out the pot. And I was like, wait a minute, did what just happened happen? But because she was so used to it, it just didn't. I hope that very long drawn out answered your question. So now I'm going to open the phone lines back up. I'm going to read some of these comments, and then I'm going to open the phone lines back up. So let's see what we have here. All right, you're the first person to call in, so make sure your speakers are down, and I'll come to you in just a moment. I'm going to be reading comments. All right, so let's see. Wait, somebody says, a Tonya experience with food you cook and conversations. I'd pay for that. Ooh, that would be nice if I cooked up a nice batch of something. Well, the person hung up, so I guess you really didn't want to talk. All right, that would be nice. So Al is saying, I have some things to say and I need to let it out. Let it out. Keisha is saying, I just purchased pomegranate kombucha Saturday for the first time. Okay. I'm going to come to you in just a moment. Just make sure your speakers are down. I'm going to read some comments and just be ready to go on the air. All right. Sunrise is saying, I can't tolerate voice raising of any kind. And Al is saying, what happens if your deal breakers became more of a thing once you were too far in a relationship? Is there any such thing as too far in a relationship? There's some relationships that bring out for us what our deal breakers are, because you could be going along just minding your business and then something happens and you're like, oh, no, I cannot deal with this. And you know what? And some of you may know, because I was talking about this last week, and I realized that I need to add another deal breaker into my life, because I happen to attract men who are really, really great men. I attract really, really great guys, but I attract extreme introverts. I don't know why I attract introverts. How many of you would think that I would attract a person who is when I say extreme introvert, I attract extreme introverts, like men who do not like to speak. They like to be all quiet and all of that. If you thought that I would attract extreme introverts, put up a 7. If that just sounds outlandish to you, put up an 8. I want to see your numbers. I remember the days when someone sent you an Apple box and you were so excited. Oh my gosh, that was 2012. And I remember that apple. I saved the seeds too, but then the seeds ended up dying because they didn't germinate. But I remember that. And that was crazy because there was a guy who had spent like $500 on this stuff. And then there was another person who got me this apple. And the apple was like this person gave me like these expensive Guess shoes and stuff. And then this other person gave me this apple. And it was like the apple was just like, it was more dear to me than the expensive shoes. All right. All right, so let me jump into the phone call. So you all are saying 777. So you all are not surprised that introverts, extreme introverts, are attracted to me. I'm coming to London after the pandemic. All right, you're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Corey.
Hi, Corey. Talk to me. Talk to me. So, are you calling in to talk about the difference between a good man and a good mate, or comments about my assessment?
I think I was gonna call about the good man versus a good mate.
Okay.
I just think that, and for the record, I'm 23, so I'm pretty young. But I think a good man would be someone who's actually a provider. Like, I'm in the dating field now, and I'm noticing like a lot of guys, they talk a good game, but they don't have their own car or they don't have their own home. You know, they don't have all that stuff that's needed to actually, you know, be a man. And I don't know, it's weird. I feel like all the black men just aren't there. And I understand the systematic, you know, reasons behind it. It just sucks because I feel like all the black women like my age and, you know, a little bit older and stuff like that, we're gonna have like slim pickings.
Hmm. Well, when you say slim pickings, which basket are you picking from? Are you only picking from the black basket?
I listen to your videos a lot, and I know you're like, you know, I might want to try to date outside the race, but I want pure black babies. I want a black man so I can have my black children. So I really don't want to date outside the race, but when the pick and slim, I don't know where to go.
Well, you know, there's a whole entire continent with more than 1 billion black people on it.
That is true. That is true. I don't know. I haven't met any Nigerian men or African men. Maybe you can hook me up with the dating service you're doing.
You know what? Listen, I can't wait for this pandemic to end because there's so much that we need to do. However, I'll say this, right? When it comes to our energy and our trauma, you can attract a good match, but the match for where it is that you are in your life. You know what I mean? And
Definitely.
so there are pluses and there are minuses, and what ends up happening is people people have these desires and these lists, and they don't realize that there may be some thinking outside of the box, right? There may be some thinking outside of the box, like um and so this is one of the sticking points that I came to in my service, right? So women are naturally hypergamous, right? However,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the 1 billion people on the continent of Africa, um, the each country has a varied degree of what type of resources the people in that country have and earn. And you know, I can understand why a woman would not want a man who earns less than her. You know, it's just it's like I can understand that because I attract men who have money, right? I attract men who love earning money, who love saving money, who have lots of money. Those are the men that I attract. However, every man out there is not going to be wealthy. And when we start branching out, there are some options that you have. One of the options that you have is to date interracially. Another option that you have is to date interculturally. And then other options that you have are to date internationally. And those relationships are the most risky. You know, so I don't know what to say. Here in this country, as we speak, there are 2 million less Black men than there are Black women. And when you look at the stats for who's educated and who's not educated, unfortunately, Black American men are not doing the things that they need to do in order to, they're not doing the things that they need to do in order to be able to make that money. There's stats that talk about how if you only have a high school diploma, right, your potential for earning is significantly reduced. Now you have to have like a master's degree. So I don't know. We really need to, I really don't know. I really don't know because every woman wants a wealthy man. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that because every man is not wealthy. And so I don't know. What are your thoughts? Because I don't want to keep saying I don't know. Go ahead and thumbs up this video, everyone. Go ahead, I'm listening.
I think my whole thing is that, you know how when Black women are raised, they're more like the parents are more strict on the Black women versus the Black men. I think maybe if this generation raises our children literally the same, like have the same strict rules on the guys that you have on the girls, maybe the next generation will have a better picking than we do at the moment. But yeah, as of right now, I don't know what to do either. So I'm there with you. I don't know, Miss Tonya.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate your point of view. Give me a deal breaker for you. Give me one thing that's a deal
A deal
breaker.
breaker. I think my deal breaker is you have to be ambitious. You have to be working towards something. Something's better than nothing.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for that. Have a great day.
Thank you. You
All
too.
right. All right. So the phone lines are open. I don't know. Black women, I really don't know. I don't know. One of the things that I'm hoping that when we do this year's census, that the census will come up. I'm going to pull you on the air in just a moment. Just make sure your speakers are down. I'm just going to finish up this sentence. Go ahead and thumbs up the video. There's 340 people, 150 likes. So go ahead and thumbs it up. It matters for the YouTube algorithm. If you don't see the thumb up area, close the live chat and then you'll see it right there, depending on whether you're looking at it from your phone or your computer. So Black women, I really don't know. We have had chronic issues in this country where we just have not been able to thrive. And when men don't thrive, they don't make good mates. They make unattractive mates for women. So because women don't really want to deal with men who are not thriving. You know what I mean? So I don't know. The only thing that I can think of is that we come up with some sort of cooperative programs where we start with young boys. I don't know because they're going to have to be able to make money and hold their own. I don't know. But you know, one of the things that I do feel, so Alrel, why don't you call in? You keep talking about wanting to speak your piece, but you're not call in. One of the things that I do feel is I feel that there are untapped resources in the United States. I feel that there are a lot of Black men from other cultures and countries that are just not on these dating sites. They're not out at the bars. They're a little socially awkward, but they're good men. They're good people, good men. They make money, but they're just a little socially awkward. That is my targeted clientele for my matchmaking service. And so they're out there. They're out there and they're just not very good with women. To me, that's the ideal man. A man who's not charismatic with the other ladies is the ideal man to connect you all with, because we don't want the men who are out there talking about, yeah, so, and they got all the game. We don't want that. You on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
This is Louis, Tonya. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Louis. How are you?
I hope as good as you. I appreciate everything you do on your platform. Myself as a black man, I think we have a lot of job to do in understanding how women think, and that's one of the reasons I watch you and a couple of other YouTubers or bloggers to understand how the woman's mind works or what you guys women have as priority. But going
Okay.
back to the question, a good match versus a good man, I think it's all relative because how do you know if you're a good match if you're not in a relationship? Since we all know different women bring different results out of different men. And you can be good to some people and not be good to some people. I don't think everyone out there thinks all of us online, we are all good people. There are probably people that don't like us for one reason or the other. So I don't know if there's one answer that fits all as far as the definition goes for a good match and a good man. I don't
Oh, people want to know where you're from. They like your accent.
know. I'm from Cameroon, Africa.
Ladies. Okay, so Louis, let's talk for a moment, right? And I'm glad that you called
Yeah,
in because I love when men call in because I think that there's a huge disconnect between men and women, right? Okay.
yeah.
What is your definition of a good man?
My definition of a good man is I think that person should be able to answer to themselves. Are you good in your spirit? Do you feel good about yourself and all that? Because when we leave that to society, then it depends on who's asking that question. It might be coming from a religious standpoint. Like you give an example, you're not a good match with probably someone that's religious. So that person might look you as not being a good person because already that's a turn off for them or they think evil depending on what their education or what they were being taught in religion. We have the cancel culture. We have the cancel culture as well. If you're going by the cancel culture, good man is probably someone that says everything right, that's politically correct and doesn't want to get canceled and all that stuff. But does that really, I think it's left up to that person to decide what a good person is. Unless we're using some kind of manual, which would probably have to be, like I said, politics or society or maybe the Bible or religion.
Okay.
I don't think it's left to someone else to decide for you if you're a good person or not.
Okay. All right. And then so tell me something that a woman must have to be a good match for you.
Um, I'm big on privacy, so I would like to talk things out before the stuff is out. And I am old school, so I'll give you an example. I met a girl and she's like, "What's your ID?" And I'm like, "I'm right in front of you. What do you want to know?" And that's a problem to her because she thinks I'm hiding something or she wants to go and do a research on IG when I'm right in front of you. So it's stuff like that.
So you don't want to give women your Instagram name. That's what you're telling me?
I don't have an Instagram.
So then why are you trying to hide it?
I don't have one.
So then why are you reluctant to give out something that you don't have?
I don't have. It's what I am saying. I can't give you something I don't have.
I know, but that's not what you said. He said
No,
IG,
I
not
said I don't.
ID.
I said I'm right here. Like, what do you want to know? Because I don't have one.
No, you did not. You did not specify that you didn't have one. You said I'm right here. You
Oh,
probably want to
maybe
do
I
some.
left that information out,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what I was trying to say.
They thought you were saying ID, like identification. Are they asking you for your identification? They want your ID, your
No, no,
social.
no. My IG, my Instagram, my IG.
Oh goodness, you sound a little bit older than the Instagram base. How old are you?
I'm in my 30s.
Oh, you're still young enough for Instagram. Okay. Okay. Well, just tell them you don't have one. It's as simple as that. So that's what you're saying. A person, a deal breaker for you, a thing that a person must have to be a good match for you is not to ask for your Instagram. That's what you're saying, Louis?
No, no, I don't deal. I won't. I don't think I'll be a good match with celebrities, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not a public. I'm a
How
private
many
person.
people out there are celebrities? So what are you saying? You're confusing me. How many celebrities are out there who are trying to date you, Louis?
No, I'm talking about all these Instagram models and all these. I don't know what the term is.
Okay.
I'm trying not to be offensive. That's what I'm saying.
The what?
I'm trying not to be offensive. I don't know the right words to use for that.
What word do you want to use?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
You know what word you want to use,
I
but you said there's an
no, I
offensive
said
word.
celebrities. I'm talking about Instagram models and all these public.
Okay. All right. So that is what, okay, thank you. So that is what you need to be a good match then, just not be an Instagram model. And that's all that's the main thing is just not be an Instagram model.
Right now, I'm good. It's not like I'm really searching, so I don't really. I'm not in. I'm in that space now, so I have other priorities. And but I would like to know what women think of men and all this stuff, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, so then let's talk real quick. Let's talk real quick, right?
All right, yeah, let's talk it up.
Let's talk. So we talked about, so you said that there may be some people out here who think that Tonya is not a good person because I'm not religious, right? I'm sorry. Let me just calm down, right? I think that there's a base level, right? Now, whether or not a person is religious or not makes a person a good match or not a good match for someone, depending on what their idea is of religion. But for a person to say this whole entire human being is not a good person because they have not been indoctrinated, that's part of the problem right there. The self-aggrandized judgment of another human being and their goodness or lack thereof based on whether or not they were indoctrinated into the same religion as you. So that is a matter of somebody else's opinion. A person has a right to say you're not a good match, but a person by their own character, by what it is that they desire, they don't really have the authority to say whether or not another person is a good person based on their arbitrary list. You know what I mean? Because the conquistadors were Christian, and they went out there stabbing, killing, burning, and raping, but they claim to be Christian. So we do too much looking at the labels and not so much looking at who the person is, how it is that they're showing up in the world. And that's part of the reason that I don't resonate with people who are deeply religious. I don't resonate with them and that type of indoctrination. But does that mean that they're not a good person? And I think that it's very telling that there are people who would judge an entire person's human worth and their goodness based on their arbitrary means of being indoctrinated into dogma. All right.
I'm definitely on your side on that.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that there's a base level. Whether or not a person is a good person is not up to individual opinion. That's what I'm trying to say. Like a person's opinion about whether or not a person is a good person. It's like there's a very base level. How are you to other people? How are you to the environment? How do you treat animals? How do you treat yourself? You know what I mean? So, on that note, Louis, it was such a pleasure. Do they speak French in Cameroon?
Oui, oui, oui. Oui,
Okay,
je
well,
parle français.
au revoir.
Merci beaucoup. À toi autant.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, so I appreciate that phone call. We only have 10 minutes left because I'm not going over 2 hours today. So we're going to take one more phone call and then we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate everybody who came out. And I appreciate everyone who called in and everyone who gave their opinion. Phone lines are open for one more phone call. And so, listen, I encourage every person, and I'm thinking about creating a workbook for people to narrow down what's a good match for them, to be able to work out what are some of their needs and desires, etc. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Hey, Tonya, how you doing? Can you hear me okay?
I mean, it sounds like you in the place where the bell tolls.
I'm sorry, can you speak better now?
Yes, go ahead.
I was calling in relation to your thing, a good person versus a good match.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a person, you're only going to draw what you want or what you're ready for. So if you're not where you need to be, then you aren't going to get somebody where they need to be because you're going to accept some stuff that's some BS.
Okay.
But the good match would be a person observing how the person treats other people. Like when you go out, do they talk down to other people? A good person has respect for everybody. The poorest person on the street to the richest person, they're not judgmental and they say things like that. And I think a lot of times we judge a person off of their resume.
Mm-hmm.
And a resume may make a good employee, but not a good person. For example, I know one guy who had a master's degree and was a principal, didn't attend his own child's graduation. And then there was a single father who was a warehouse worker and coached Pee-wee football. So the good resume and the good match for somebody has to be specific for you. Because if I met a 35-year-old non-judgmental man with no kids, that would be a great match for someone else, but not for myself because I don't want to have no more kids.
Oh,
So,
got you.
And the thing you were saying about extroverts and introverts, I think sometimes you can't have two extroverts because they're going to overtalk each other. So sometimes you got to have that balance. That extrovert pulls the introvert out of their shell, and maybe if someone is too extra, they kind of calm them down and balance them out. I'm sorry about the background.
Oh, it's okay.
So I just think when you're okay with you and you have done some of your work, not all of the work, but some of your work, then you will meet sometimes that type of person. And when somebody show up to you who's on the BS, that's kind of your test to say, hey, am I going to allow this in my space, or no, I'll wait till the next thing come around because this ain't it. So,
Got you.
And that's one thing. So if you're where you need to be, you're going to attract that good mate. Because when the bad mates show up for the one that's not for you,
okay,
and it's not your match, you'll let it go.
So tell us something that a man has to have to be a good match for you.
My characteristic is trying to, or in the process of becoming, not dependent on me. They take care of themselves. They're employed. They have kids. They have goals for their future. They have dreams. And even if they're not pursuing them, they're putting something in place to pursue them. Somebody's comfortable in their own skin, outgoing, no sexual predators, things of that nature.
Yeah, give us one deal breaker.
And the deal breaker, judgmental.
Gotcha.
Judgmental, don't respect everybody, talk down about people and down on other people. Let's say if you have a PhD and you don't see any value, or you think you can't learn something from somebody who has a high school diploma, and they lead it or something like that, then that would be a deal breaker for me.
Got you. All right. Well, you know what? Thank you so much did we catch your name?
Cynthia.
Thank you so much, Cynthia.
All right.
Have a great day.
All right. You have a great day.
You too. All right, so the phone lines are closed. That was our last phone call of the day. I'm trying to keep these shows under 2 hours because the last time we almost went 4 hours. So if left up to your devices, we'll be out here all day broadcasting and my voice will be just coughing out vapors. So listen, I appreciate all of you for coming out. Good man, good person. And so somebody was saying that even a base level of a person's opinion of what it takes to be a good person is arbitrary. And I don't think that it's arbitrary personally. I think that there are just things across the board that good people have. And so let me see. Let's create a list. What does it take for a person to be a good person? A good person. What does it take? Give me a list of what it takes to be a good person. I'll read some of these out loud. All right. So somebody's saying a PhD will never go for a person. So trustworthy, honest. So somebody said a PhD will not go for a person who has just a high school diploma. It depends. You know, it depends on who the person is. Everybody's different. So we have caring, trustworthy, honest. Somebody's saying a man's social media will tell the story. Faithful, integrity, respectful, kindness, empathy, honest, loyal, humble, patient, caring, loyal. So you see these things that are coming up. Go ahead and thumbs up the video. Go ahead and thumbs up the video. We had a lull. It just lagged and we just jumped right back in. Thumbs up the video, and it matters for the algorithm. Get my book off of Amazon. And I'll announce it again before we go out. But what are some of the things? So somebody is saying, can dialogue, that whether or not a person can dialogue doesn't denote whether or not they're a good person. Like I'm talking about at a base level, just being a good person. Like you're like, you know what? This is a good person right here. So we're talking about loyal, caring how your actions affect others. So we're talking about considerate, someone who treats another person as themselves, patient. Okay. These are things that are so important. So I'm saying at a base level, I think that there is a consensus for what it takes. Whether or not that person likes chocolate doesn't mean that they're a good person or not. Whether or not that person believes in some religious dogma doesn't denote whether or not a person still has that base level. So I hope that added some clarity to the person who wanted to bring that up. So listen, I'm going to jump out of here. Thank you all so much for coming out. YouTube has lagged and the comments have not caught back up. But what I will do is I will say good night or goodbye to the first 10 to 20 people who say it on the broadcast. And see, I'm not sure if we're back. See, we're back, but the comment area has not opened back up. But if it does open back up before we jump off of here, I will say a goodbye to the first 10 to 20 people who write it out. But it doesn't look like the comment section is going to come back with this news. Yeah. Unfortunately, YouTube had a hiccup and then we just ended up with no comments. So I cannot see anybody's new comments now at this point. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to say a good night and goodbye to everyone. This is my book of affirmation, self-love. The link is in the description. This is an amazing book. On my website, I have hypnotherapeutic MP3s to assist you in being able to learn to forgive, to go through the steps of releasing stress, to allow yourself to live in the fullest iteration of your life. This book right here helps rewrite your subconscious programming. It's a beautiful illustrated book that has areas for you to write out your affirmations. This is my book, right? And each page has a beautiful picture, an area for you to write, and an area for you to just rewrite the affirmations. It's an amazing book. As a certified clinical hypnotherapist, I know that this book is more than just a book. It's a tool. And I use this in my practice. Other people, other therapists use this in their practice, and people use this at home. It's powerful. It's very powerful. These are the most powerful affirmations I said when I was living in my car and I didn't know how I would get out of it and how my life would get on the other side of that. All right. So listen, on that note, I'm going to see you all later in the next video. Thank you so much for coming out. The links are below for the book, for my website, for the MP3s, and all of that. All right. The comments never came back, so I'm sorry. So I'm just going to say good night, everyone. Good night. Good night. Thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good night, everyone. And we will do a meetup soon. As a matter of fact, we should do a Zoom meetup. We should do that. Uh-oh. Time is ticking down to the almost at 2 hours. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.